My name is Emily, and I am here to tell you a story about how I learned to communicate in English. It wasn't always easy, but every step was worth it. I used to feel nervous speaking English in front of others. Every time I tried to speak, the words would jumble, and I would worry about making mistakes. But with time, I learned that making mistakes was part of the process, and I met friends who made this journey fun and exciting. When I first started, my friend Josh said something that changed my whole view. "Emily," he said with a smile, "don't wait for the right words to come. Just say what's on your mind." That was the first tip I learned. It's okay to be imperfect. I used to think I had to speak like a native speaker from the start, but trying and practicing are far more important. One day, I was ordering a coffee with my friend Chloe. I told the barista, "I like 2 coffees, please." The barista smiled and gently corrected me. "You mean?" "I'd like 2 coffees." I felt embarrassed at first, but Chloe laughed and said, "See? Now you know. It's not a big deal. People hear love when you try." I realized that mistakes are part of learning. Every time someone corrects you, you learn something new. I used to carry a little notebook with me. Every time I heard an interesting word or phrase, I would write it down. Once I heard someone say, "It's raining cats and dogs." At first, I thought they were talking about animals falling from the sky. But Josh explained it was just an expression to say that it was raining heavily. Learning phrases and idioms made English more fun and gave me the confidence to use interesting words when I spoke. Another thing that helped me was watching TV shows and movies in English. I loved watching sitcoms like Friends because the conversations were simple and funny. My favorite character was Rachel. I would sometimes pause the show and repeat the lines, copying the way she spoke. It was like practicing with friends who didn't mind if I made mistakes. One day, I was practicing with my neighbor Jake, and we played a game. He would say a sentence, and I had to guess what he meant. "Break a leg," he said with a grin. I looked at him in surprise. "Why would you want someone to break their leg?" He laughed and explained it was a way of saying good luck. That game was one of the best ways I learned how to understand humor and expressions. Speaking with friends was one thing, but speaking to strangers was a different story. I remember the first time I went to a bookstore alone and asked for help. "Hi," I said shyly to the man behind the counter. "Can you tell me where the mystery books are?" He smiled warmly and said, "Sure, right this way." His kindness gave me confidence. I learned that most people are happy to help if you're polite. Saying please, thank you, and excuse me can make a big difference. When my cousin Jason came to visit from another state, we had fun exploring the city together. He taught me how to ask open-ended questions to keep conversations going. Instead of asking, "Do you like this city?" he said I should ask, "What do you like about this city?" It made people talk more, and I got to know them better. That's how I learned to listen carefully and not just focus on what I wanted to say next. Jason also told me, don't translate everything in your head. Just think in English at first. This seemed impossible, but I started small. I would describe things around me in English, like, the sky is blue, or I see a red car. Gradually. It became a habit. Thinking in English made my speaking faster and more natural. One rainy afternoon, I was talking to a girl named Lily at the library. I told her, I want to improve my English. She gave me a kind smile and said, You mean, I want to improve? You're almost there. That little correction taught me the importance of using small words correctly. It's easy to miss things like to or the but. They make a sentence sound right. Lily also gave me a great tip. She said, try talking to yourself when you're alone. It helps you practice without any pressure. So, I started talking to myself about my day, pretending I was telling a story. Today I went to the park, I would say. I saw 2 dogs playing with a ball. It was a simple way to build confidence. I also found that reading books out loud helped improve my pronunciation. My favorite book to read was Charlotte's Web because the sentences were easy to follow, and the story was sweet. At first, I stumbled over words, but with practice, I got better. My tongue began to move more easily with English sounds. One day, I attended a school event where everyone had to introduce themselves. I felt nervous, but I remembered all the tips I had learned. I smiled and said, Hi, my name is Emily. I love books and I enjoy learning new things. To my surprise, people smiled back and started asking questions. That's when I realized confidence is key. Even if your English isn't perfect, people appreciate your effort. Later, I joined a local English club where we would meet every week to practice speaking. We played word games, discussed topics, and shared stories. It was a safe space to make friends and practice without fear. I learned that surrounding yourself with people who encourage you makes a big difference. One of the best memories I have is when I helped a new student named Mia. She was nervous about speaking English, just like I had been. I told her, it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. We practice together, and I could see her growing more comfortable every day. Helping Mia reminded me of how far I had come, and I felt proud of my progress. Looking back, I realized that learning English is not just about words and grammar. It's about connecting with people, sharing experiences, and opening doors to new opportunities. There were times I felt frustrated, but every step was worth it. Now, I feel comfortable speaking English, whether I'm talking to a friend, a stranger, or a group of people. I still make mistakes sometimes, but I don't let them stop me. I learned that communication is about being understood, not being perfect. So, If you ever feel nervous about speaking English, remember this: be patient with yourself, enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to speak up. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. And along the way, you'll meet wonderful people, make new friends, and discover things you never knew about yourself. One of the biggest turning points in my journey was when I decided to step out of my comfort zone and join a debate team at school. It felt like a giant leap, but I knew that pushing myself would help me grow. At first, I doubted myself. What if I forget my words? What if people laugh at my accent? I asked Chloe. She gave me a reassuring smile and said, "Emily, the hardest part is starting. Once you begin, everything else will follow." The first debate was nerve-wracking. My hands trembled as I stood in front of the audience, but I took a deep breath and began. "Good morning, everyone," I said, feeling the words flow from my lips. To my surprise, once I got past the introduction, it wasn't as scary as I had imagined. I had prepared well, and as I spoke, I noticed the encouraging nods from my teammates. That moment taught me the importance of preparation and trusting yourself. Even if you're scared, start small, and soon you'll find your rhythm. After that debate, I felt a surge of confidence. I realized that the more you speak, the easier it becomes. Communication isn't just about getting the grammar right, it's about being brave enough to express your thoughts. That experience also showed me the value of learning new words every day. In debates, I needed to use different words to explain my ideas clearly. I started using flashcards to memorize new vocabulary, and it became a game for me. Once, I challenged Josh to see who could learn the most new words in a week. Whoever lost had to buy the winner an ice cream. I remember him saying, "Emily, I'm going to win this, but guess what?" I learned 30 new words, and he only learned 22. I celebrated with the best chocolate ice cream ever. That little challenge showed me how setting goals can make learning fun. When you enjoy the process, it doesn't feel like hard work. Another way I practiced was by singing English songs. I wasn't the best singer, but that didn't stop me from singing out loud in my room. My favorite song was "1,000 Miles" by Vanessa Carlton. I would play it on repeat, singing along until I could pronounce every word correctly. Music helped me with my pronunciation and taught me how to connect words naturally. Plus, singing always put me in a good mood. I also started writing a daily journal in English. At first, I kept it simple, like "Today was a good day." I went to the park and played with my dog. As time passed, I started writing longer sentences and expressing my feelings. Writing helped me organize my thoughts, and it made speaking easier too. I would write down things I wanted to say and then practice them out loud. There were days when I felt stuck, like I wasn't improving fast enough. I remember calling Jason one night and telling him, I feel like I'll never be as good as native speakers. He listened patiently and said, Emily, don't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. Progress takes time, but every word you say brings you closer. That advice stayed with me. It's okay to feel frustrated sometimes, but it's important to keep going. Even small improvements matter. One of my proudest moments came during a family trip to New York. We went to a restaurant, and my parents asked me to order for everyone. I was nervous, but I reminded myself that I could do it. I smiled at the waiter and said, Can we please have 2 burgers, 1 chicken sandwich, and a salad with no dressing? The waiter nodded and said, Got it. Anything to drink? I felt so proud when everything came out just the way we ordered. That experience made me realize that small victories build confidence. In my English club, we often talked about the importance of body language when communicating. It's not just about words. How you move, smile, and make eye contact also tells a story. I remember practicing with Mia, the new student I had helped earlier. I told her, when you talk, don't forget to smile. People will feel more comfortable around you. We spent hours practicing conversations, and I could see Mia becoming more confident every day. Helping her reminded me of how much I had grown myself. As time went on, I became more comfortable using English in different situations. One summer, I volunteered at a local community center, helping kids with their reading. It was such a rewarding experience. The kids were excited to learn, and their laughter made every moment special. I used simple words and fun games to teach them, and in the process, I became even more fluent. Teaching others is one of the best ways to learn because it forces you to think clearly and explain things in an easy way. Another thing that helped me was traveling. When I visited new places, I had to communicate with people I didn't know. It made me realize that English is not just a subject, it's a way to connect with the world. In New York, I met tourists from all over the world, and we talked about our favorite places. Speaking with people from different cultures taught me that everyone's English is unique, and that's okay. It's not about speaking perfectly, it's about being understood and building connections. I also learned the importance of asking questions when you don't understand something. At first, I was afraid to ask because I didn't want to seem silly. But I discovered that people are usually happy to help. If I didn't know a word, I would ask, "What does that mean?" or "Can you say that again?" Please asking questions showed that I was interested in learning, and it made conversations easier. One day, during a group discussion at school, we talked about our favorite books. I wanted to share my thoughts on Charlotte's Web, but I was nervous about speaking in front of everyone. I remembered Jason's advice, don't focus on being perfect. Just share your ideas. So, I raised my hand and said, I think the story teaches us about friendship and kindness. My classmates smiled, and I felt proud of myself. The more you speak up, the easier it becomes. Over time, I realized that English is not just about words, it's about expressing who you are. Whether you're talking about your day, your dreams, or your favorite hobby, every conversation is a chance to share a piece of yourself. I started talking more with my teachers, my friends, and even strangers. Each conversation taught me something new, and it made me feel more connected to the people around me. Now I love helping others who are learning English. I always tell them, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. I also remind them to be patient and celebrate small successes. Learning a new language is a journey, and every step matters. Looking back, I realize how far I've come. From feeling nervous about ordering coffee to giving speeches at school, every experience has been a part of my growth. Learning English opened so many doors for me, and it gave me the confidence to explore new opportunities. So, if you're learning English, remember this: take it one step at a time, enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to speak up. Every conversation is a chance to learn and grow. Keep practicing, stay positive, and soon you'll find yourself speaking with confidence. And most importantly, have fun along the way. The journey may be challenging, but it's also full of beautiful moments, new friendships, and exciting discoveries. You've got this.